You guys heard that?
Goddamn.
You know what time it is. This is a really weird project that we're doing today, something that we've never done before. It's just me and the boys, and we're going to be watching one of my favorite shows of all time, and that is To Catch a Predator. Mainly because I hate pedophiles, obviously, like any good person does, but secondly, I've never seen justice so swiftly enacted on footage before in my life. You know, these guys get crucified on film for everyone to enjoy. So, that being said, do you guys want to say anything?
Read seed.
Pedophiles get the bullet.
Yeah, fuck them. None of this shit in the ethno state, so let's get it on.
Right. Watch out, ANCAPs.
Yeah, To Catch an ANCAP, we are watching today. And today we have this fellow whose name is Lorne Armstrong, who was caught in a sting I believe he was caught in the last sting, and the reason why I picked him is because this is my favorite show. I've watched every single investigation, like, multiple times throughout my life, and I saw this one first probably like a year or two after it came out in 2008. It came out in 2007, I believe. It was the last or second last investigation that they did. And this guy stood out to me when I watched it back then, but it also turns out that on the internet that he has like an anti-fan base of people who just make fun of him. For reasons you will see why in a second. They're called the Church of Cord, which will make sense once we watch it, I believe, because I've already seen this. And this person seems to have like bought the footage from Dateline MSNBC and uploaded it on their own channel, which is really fucking committed. But nonetheless,
can you make the screen like full, like, because there's everyone's icon still on here?
Yeah.
You just have to
corner and hit the expand in the right corner.
You hit the expand and you also double click on Tom's screen
Okay,
share.
I got it. I'm just a boomer.
Of course. I was surprised you were allowed to download Canary.
It's still black on my screen, but that's just because I'm not on Canary.
Alright. So that being said, I'm gonna press play. But yeah, if you guys want to say anything, just interject. I have a lot to say about this shit. First thing you'll notice is this. I'll play first and then I'll comment. So let's 3, 2, 1, play. That zoom.
Hey, I'm glad you could come.
God, how like not 13? There's the fucking decode. Like because they never have a child involved in these operations, obviously, so they get the decoy to be like a 19-year-old actress or actor who just looks really young.
No, this is like 13-year-olds. When I was in middle school. The 13-year-olds now, though, looking like Instagram models.
She obviously looks like an adult, right? Like, she has curves, like her hips, like she's hit puberty, obviously. You can see it even when you get to see her face. Obviously, one of the biggest signs that somebody has gone through puberty is their bone structure, because when you're a child, you have a lack of definition in your face. Your cheekbones don't really set in until you're much older, and when you look at her, you can really tell. I think she even looks like she's wearing makeup, which is, you know, it's just, you have to be a complete fucking idiot to not see this as a sting, even back then. But, yeah, let's continue.
How are you?
I'm
good, how are you?
Good.
Sorry?
He's just too happy.
Oh, I know. Right, look at this.
How was the drive?
Oh yeah, she looks way older.
Terrible.
Really? How come?
Oh, just look at this. Like, why would you dress like this when you're going to meet a girl? He wears a fucking $2 shirt from, and he's got his hat on. You can see his man titties, like, right here. It's like a fold here, and it's oh my god. And it's not even like it's not a well-fitting shirt at all. And that's what happens when you wear poor fabrics. Like, if you wear a low-quality fabric, it never really sits well. So it looks like he bought that shirt from a $2 shop. God.
Look at his like neck and his head, his whole face, and like he looks like a fucking thumb. He really does.
I know. And he's like,
is this like Grug? Is this Grug?
Grug. It literally looks like Grug.
I have the time frozen at 2:18, and his face is just priceless right there.
Yeah.
He looks like a turtle.
Oh god.
That high titty fat distribution.
Yeah, it's literally high titty. That's the thing you'll notice about this show, is that they're all kind of like soy boy. before soy boys were a thing, before the beta male of the modern age arose, there were pedophiles on To Catch a Predator, and they look like very similar. They have the male pattern baldness always, like this guy does. They have the really pink, flabby skin and lack of bone structure, which is a feature of low testosterone, obviously, like not the male pattern baldness. That can be the case, I have read on some articles, but obviously male pattern baldness is also the result of having higher testosterone as well. But in terms of flabby pink skin features, low bone structure, that's also a symptom of low testosterone. Like the flabbiness and the soft look to all these guys is definitely a reoccurring theme that you will see in all of them. You never have anyone in the whole series walk in who's jacked and like Chad as fuck. They're always these soft thumb beta grug looking dudes.
Tom, what's the time count right now?
I'm at 35 seconds.
Oh, okay.
I'll press play in 3, 2, 1, no.
Actually, it was alright.
Oh. Well, look, we got these new chairs. You have to sit down.
I have to sit down?
Yeah, look. It's a massager
Oh my
chair.
God,
It vibrates
look at
when you press the buttons.
Look, oh my god.
Okay, like something you'll... the fucking accent. That was something that I said in the Discord. I swear regional accents, people with low IQs are more inclined to have them than... You never meet like a really smart person who has a really regional accent in any country. Something you'll notice as well is the decoy never gets very close to them at all for obvious reasons. This setup is also really interesting. In every single episode, the room is organized in such a way as to make it difficult for the Predator to lunge out at Chris Hansen. So usually they have like a bar table that Chris Hansen will come out and stand behind, so there's an object in between him and the Predator in case he tries to lunge. Because that's something that I did jiu-jitsu and I also did Aikido, and I've done a few martial arts in my life, and throwing an object in the way of an attacker is really disorienting, and it's something that they recommend doing a lot. But you can really see here, they have the two lounges, and he really sinks in like that, so that was a very deliberate move. And you can tell it's deliberate because, like, look at this fucking room. What kind of room is this? You just have two chairs looking directly at each other where people just come like what, like who organizes their room like
This
this?
is like an interrogation room.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
intervention room.
There's not a flow to it. There's no flow. It's just very obstructive.
Well, no, it's like, I feel like these people are all... There has to be some sort of correlation between, like, having a lower than average IQ and being a pedophile, because you'd think someone with any, like, sense would notice that this room has such a weird setup. It seems so obvious.
Yeah, no, there's actually a lot to say about this. I can talk about that, but before I do, you'll also notice that coming in, he's got the $20 runners from Kmart or Target or whatever, and he's wearing footy shorts. Well, yeah, you know,
Hey, that's not cool. You gotta spend his money on the condoms.
Jesus.
He's dressed so badly. Like, he's dressed like he's just got off from work at a construction site. Like, he's dressed like shit. Like, who the fuck would dress like that? And then look at her. She's like an attractive looking girl. What an idiot. As if
She's 13, Tom.
Yeah, she's not. She's 19. She's an adult, and I know, like, anyway, but there actually
She
happened.
said she was 18.
Making excuses, man.
She said she was 18, but she said she was 19. That's not what I fucking meant. But there actually have been studies done that actually indicate that the brain structure of pedophiles is different to regular people, particularly like the frontocortical differences, and they have less grey matter, and there's a whole plethora of other differences as well. And these differences are actually similar to people with impulse control disorders like OCD and, of course, addictions, which is why most people who are attracted to children, you know, they're addicted, and they usually end up as pedophiles from going down this rabbit hole of pornography addiction rather than being a pedophile from the start. It's seldom the case that somebody comes of age just being interested in children. Like, it does happen, obviously, but every single guy on this show will tell the police interrogators and even tell Chris Hansen that they have an internet addiction and they spiral down into pedophilia rather than originating as one. To get to the point you were making pragmatic, another thing arising from the difference in brain structure is a documented lower intelligence. Like, the actual IQ score for pedophiles is lower. And there's also another interesting thing, which is that the lower the IQ of the pedophile, the younger the age of the children they will desire. So yeah, it's a really common trend throughout this whole show is that you notice the people that come in are the people who are jobless, people on social security, people who have no higher education. But you know, there's exceptions. Like I know a doctor appears on the show. But, you know, nonetheless, the trend is that these people have failed to adapt to adulthood, really. They are stuck mentally in this childlike state. And to put it simply, they are failures. All of them are idiots. They're jobless a lot of the time. And their pedophilia is an effort to regress backwards into childhood, a time where their needs were met because they had yet to develop adult wants and desires such as status, income, sex, and so forth. So that the things that they wanted as a child are maternally given to them on demand. So it's a time where people feel happier and people look at with fondness. So yeah, so the point being that the result of having a low IQ could be arrested psychological development, perhaps as the result of trauma as a child or something. So, you know, the reason they are attracted to children is because they actually better identify with them than they do with women or men of their own age. But yeah, do you guys have anything else you want to say, or should I play this goodness?
No.
Well, that makes sense, the low IQ. That's why Abbo's like infants so much.
Tacky, don't you come from a culture of child marriage?
No, our IQ is higher than yours. Yours is like 82, ours is like 84, so fuck.
Yeah.
Wait, those 2 points made all the difference.
Wait, Hans, what are you?
Half.
He's a street shitter.
Jesus Christ.
Like, hard. I am out of here.
Wait, what?
I am Aryan.
Jesus.
Alright, I'm gonna press play.
Yeah, flip the switches.
Which one is it?
You can use either one of them. It tells you there's one for your butt, there's one for your lower back, and there's one for your upper back.
I just felt my butt. I think.
Oh my god.
You can pretty much tell a difference when you press
Holy, yep, that's my butt.
Fucking hell. You can tell, like, how hard would it be to be this decoy, just to be an actress that has to talk to pedophiles over and over again and pretend to be interested in them as, like, a sex partner. Oh,
Jesus.
god damn. Holy, that's my butt. Like he's full on in the seat, so like when Chris Hansen comes out, you can tell you're not inclined to get up because it's such a trek. I mean, in any situation when you're like this, you have to be an idiot to stay. Everyone's run over, or anyone who's at least has an IQ in the triple digits has run over in their mind what they would do if they were ever in trouble with the law. And everyone knows the first thing you do, as soon as Chris Hansen walks in, you go nope, and you get out and walk away until you know you're under arrest. And when you're under arrest, you don't say anything. Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, or technically, do you even have to go outside? Like, what if you just stay there like, for, I don't know, like 5 hours? Like, will the cops ever go outside?
The cops would come in and get you. The police are in the house. Or outside at least, and you've committed a crime.
I remember
it's
there
so
was
dodgy, like the legality of it, like the fact that they have a parallel investigation that is uninterrupted by the police. They just let him interview him and then they arrest him. Like, it's kind of funny. We're like a minute into this and we've got so much shit to say.
So good, right?
I thought you had blonde hair.
Do you like it? I dyed it by myself.
I think it's pretty.
Thank you.
It's very pretty.
Okay, so here's something I also looked up about this guy. When they do the conversations with the decoys, they often send pictures of them, and they'll just take pictures of a Dateline NBC staffer when they were a kid and send it to them as if it's the decoy. So they sent photos of an actual 10-year-old girl to him on 2 separate occasions, and the pictures were of 2 different girls who were just like Dateline NBC staffers, and both of them had blonde hair. And then he walks in to see a 19-year-old. So he sees 3 different girls across the span of the investigation. And the one actually in the house at the sting looks the least like any of them. You just look at him and he's not even nervous. He has zero suspicion that this is a sting. It's completely absurd how stupid you have to be to not know that the police are doing this and that 90% of girls on the internet are feds anyway.
Are there really dudes?
Yeah.
Or they just don't exist?
Yeah, it's a myth. It's a myth. Especially when you look like the thumb like this guy. There's no way.
They're all in.
Yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm gonna press play again unless you guys have something to say. 3, 2, 1.
Where's
Oh
the
my
pizza?
God.
I was waiting to eat because I thought you were bringing some.
Oh, I didn't bring you any pizza.
Well, weren't you gonna bring me something?
Oh, that's Zoom.
Well, yes, I was. And I did.
Did you bring any condoms?
Yes, I did.
Where are they?
Oh, in the truck.
Well, what good are they gonna do in the truck if we're in here?
God, imagine saying that to him as that girl. Like, holy shit, she's a natural. She must have done worse than him if she can. Oh, she must be a complete thought. Oh, fucking hell.
Yes, I did.
Look at his face, look at his cheeks, they're so pushed
This
up
guy
against
has
his eyes.
no game at all.
What's that? What's
Look
that?
at his
Mac?
fucking
Guy has
dumb
no-
grin.
Like, painful to watch.
Yeah, he has no, he doesn't know how to speak to get, oh my god, he talks like a 13-year-old,
way he's-
like himself.
It's just the way he said it. The yes, I did.
He's like a fucking hick or whatever. He's like from the deep south, but not like in the typical way you'd think.
He's from Maine, that fucking accent. Oh my god, like why does he say that just for no reason, completely uncalled for over and over again? Like it's unprovoked, he just says, oh my god, like every 10 seconds. Just, oh my god. Look at how far apart his eyes are as well. He's such an ugly fucking dude. He's got like, he's just a drip. He's like a raindrop, like the human raindrop.
Dude, you're a
Sorry? What?
Dylan's
roasting the
letting
shit
out all
out of
his
these
pent-up
guys.
anger on this dude.
What was that, Packy? What was that?
Dylan's a bully. He's just like roasting the shit out of this.
These guys deserve a life of pain. They should get the fucking death penalty. Like, they should literally just get gulag-style firing squad, Great Purge edition, just walk outside, police officer behind the door just shoots him in the back of the head unknowingly, and he falls into a pre-dug grave. I would just fucking love that. It's like, you actually need to go out the back door, and then he walks out, just click, he's gone. Just like, falls into a mass grave with like 100 pedophiles in that, and they just do it for like days on end.
I mean,
like
this
your
is,
therapy.
Yeah.
this is what.
Something from the stream is that it's a good thing that Dylan didn't go to Marjorie Stone Douglas High School. It would have gotten killed because of him bullying the guy.
I mean, I would say like a great business cooperation would be between Blackwater and like this show.
I would,
for sure.
I would love
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have
like-
this show subsidized by and institutionalized by the state, and just to become another section of the police force that just happens regularly.
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
And they film it all and put it. They have cops, but it's just like this.
Q really triggered ANCAPs.
Yeah, I know. It's called ANCAP, to catch an
BTFOs.
ANCAP.
You know, the ANCAP is immunized against all danger.
Oh my god, look at, he's like this guy looks like a fucking ANCAP.
This is esoteric.
Oh my god.
He got out of prison and he became like a full-on ANCAP.
Oh, these guys go to
Jesus.
prison for ages. We have pretty harsh sentencing laws in my state. We're very conservative in our sentencing. But this sting right now is in Kentucky. It's in the South. So these guys get 8 years, some of them. I can't remember how much he got, but a lot of them get up to a decade in prison because of this shit. And it's...
Well, yell at me, why don't you?
Well,
That's like talking about bad game. Oh my god. Because what this is he's come in, right? And he's trying to arc up on this girl. He's trying to have his chest out and be like, yeah, I'm the dominant one. This is why I'm interested in a 13-year-old girl to begin with, because I can't feel aggressive and dominant in any relationships with women my own age, so I have to stoop to a 13-year-old. So he walks in, and he can't hold his head up long enough. It begins his body language and everything. Look at it. His head is pointing downwards towards her. He submits to her so quickly, he can't even assert himself in front of a 13-year-old girl, someone who he believes to be 13. It's so fucked. His game is just so bad, like, he just can't assert himself at all. He's, well, yell at me, why don't you? Like, that's the sign of him, he's trying to communicate to her, I didn't like that, I didn't like you taking the piss out of me. I'm gonna press play, and we're a minute 30 in, holy shit. Minute 37.
We're only in minute 31.
Yeah, we're a minute
Let's just let it
37.
roll for a while.
Alright, one. Sorry, I just fucking love this shit. Alright, 1, 2, 3.
I haven't had a kiss yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then what did you want to do?
Well, I want to kiss first.
damn.
And then what?
Can I have a kiss first?
Well, let's talk first. We just got here.
Jesus Christ.
Would you like me to go on my truck and get my stuff?
So sad.
No, it's alright.
No? You don't want your thing right now? Present I gave you?
Well, what is it?
Well, I can't tell you. That wouldn't be much of a present if I told you.
Holy
It's
shit.
my
Well,
dick.
Okay. Are you ready?
a little bit.
A little bit noisy.
Oh, God. It's my dick. Cool. Oh, god damn. Alright. 3, 2, 1.
Bad what you thought you would be?
Not as bad, but I still am kind of nervous. I'd rather like talk a little bit first and then like so I'm more comfortable, you know?
That's like cool.
Good. I'm really glad.
I like seeing you in person.
Yeah, I like seeing you too.
Good.
So.
This is getting hot. How come?
Oh, because press the red button. It's like
I
here
thought at
too.
first he was gonna like take his glove off.
You gonna have a seat too?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I like to sit on the edge of chairs.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that Jesus. Oh my god. I always love to like look at their face at the exact moment that he walks in. It goes from every
Watch it one more time.
On the edge of chairs.
Do you?
Yeah.
Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm guessing
I like.
sometimes they walk in and he's like, oh fuck, like police, and that's their initial assumption, so they jump and they look like, oh fuck, my night's just gone from getting laid to being a registered sex offender for the rest of my life and working at minimum wage. So, and they look like, oh, I'm fucked. But by his reaction, I'm gonna speculate that he thinks it's her dad. Because it seems that the idea of police stings is absent from his mind. So, like, I'll pause it
Sit
on
on the edge of chairs.
Do you?
Yeah.
look at him, he's like looked up and he's like, oh, okay, it's the dad. He's like, oh, I'm not getting laid. That's what that face says. And the way he tries to save face with him being like, oh yeah, I'm good. If that was a cop, he'd be like, oh fuck, your life is ruined. And look at all the other angles as well. Alright, yeah.
This is what happens when you go to Maine.
This is in Kentucky. No, this isn't, but he's from Maine. That's what
What the hell?
He says he traveled from Nashville, so he lived in Nashville and he traveled across state lines, which I'm pretty sure is another
Well, that's
felony.
in Tennessee. That's in Tennessee.
Yeah. So he traveled across state lines, and that's another felony as well. So
Damn. Just racking up cases.
yeah, God, it's kind of fun. It's kind of weird how it's another. I'm guessing it's because it shows extra intent or something.
Yeah.
But you
So
know.
wait, he's from Maine, goes to Nashville, and then goes to Kentucky?
Yeah. He just went to Kentucky to fuck her. Like, he traveled across state lines to commit the crime, and that's a felony, so he got that.
Oh.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Alright,
Alright, I'm gonna 3, 2, 1.
Hi, sir.
How are you?
All right, how are you doing?
What's happening?
Not too much.
Not too much.
Oh, look.
You a Boston fan?
Yeah, actually, I don't even watch baseball.
Chris's
But it's a
face.
Boston Cap.
Chris is
It's Boston Cap, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you up to tonight?
Look at the pleasure Chris takes in roasting this guy. He's like, I'm about to fucking crucify you. Like, your life is gonna end by my hand. In effect, that's pretty much Chris's face, and he loves it. Oh, he's so Chad. You ready?
Chris is like the IRL superhero.
Fucking him. He's a patriot. He's a hero. He's a, you know,
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
No.
Maine.
Well, I tell you, for the last several days, you've been up to a lot.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. The chat log is the longest one on the whole show. It was 400 pages.
They really knew how to
He like
close it out.
he had a full fleshed out relationship with a 50-year-old fat guy pretending to be a 13-year-old girl, and he never ever saw through it until the very end when he was looking down the barrel of a gun and they were telling him he was under arrest. Alright, I'll let it play out. This is probably frustrating me pausing it every time. I just have 1, 2, 3.
You're a pretty prolific chatter there. You want to explain yourself?
Not really. I'd never really
Oh, you
do
pause it right
anything.
You
here.
weren't really going to do anything.
Yeah.
He didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
Well, no, it's just like the look of his face now that he's pulled out the chat logs, and now that he said, "Hey, what are you fucking?" It's like the realization has
Yeah.
suddenly washed over him,
yeah.
and just like, look at how his eyes are pointed down towards like the ground, not
It's
making
like a
eye
dog.
contact with them.
Oh,
He's like, yeah, it's like a dog that's been caught doing something wrong. It really is.
Yeah,
look at Chris.
Chris is looking downward at him. I'm gonna fry you right now. You can tell when this facial expression emerges, it's probably him realizing this isn't her father. I'm in deep shit. Why would the father? If this was the dad, he would just come in and be like, "Get the fuck out of my house." But he'd
probably murder him. Actually.
Yeah. If I was the dad, I would come in and slaughter this guy.
There's this YouTube channel where they do these kind of stings, and then they just like meet him in a hotel room, and instead of calling the cops, these just like 4 dudes just like beat up the pedophile.
Yeah, there was a guy in Russia who did that, and he would fuck them up seriously, and he ended up getting imprisoned for it because he was taking the law into his own hands. He was being the judge, jury, and executioner. But I think that type of behavior should be subsidized by the state. See, he's like got that smile, that like fake smile. He's trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm just here, I'm just passing by. But then as soon as he realizes like this isn't the dad, it's like, cool. Look at his face. Look at his fucking face. Anyway, I'll press play.
Going to do anything?
No.
So you brought condoms. What else did you bring?
I brought her a bracelet.
A bracelet. And she is how old?
She's supposed to be 13.
Supposed to be 13. And how old are you?
37.
37. You have kids?
Jeez.
No, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Oh my god.
If you're sitting on this chair, you wouldn't have the fucking audacity to say that. You'd just be like, yeah, I've just been exposed for being evil. And I'm gonna say, well, I wish I had kids so I could molest them. Yeah, it's also not just... It's also not just like an IQ thing. Like, one of the reasons why pedophiles seem so unconcerned with the harm they are inflicting on an innocent child for their own sexual gratification. One of the reasons this could be is essentially because the structural and behavioral nature of pedophiles are very similar to other personality disorders that are self-centered and see others as objects, like sociopathically, and just use children as objects to achieve their own personal goals. This is also why a lot of the time, and you see this in the show a lot, that they view their behavior as very normal and that they're actually doing something good for the child. They're actually like providing a relationship with them when they go out and molest children. So it's really scary. It makes them seem pure evil, just how little consideration they have for anyone other than themselves. They're sociopaths.
Yeah. Have you seen some of the tweets by people who are like supporters of NAMBLA? It's absolutely sick.
No, what do they tweet out?
I saw one like where, so it was like a rally. I'd have to go search it. It's basically they were like, there's nothing wrong with like a relationship between a loving man and a child. And I was just blown away by how crass they are and like open about it. Give me a second, I'll go find it.
Well, that's a logical conclusion when you make everything about pleasure and just material, just like stimuli, you know? It's just a necessary byproduct of the modern world.
Social liberalism necessarily concludes there's nothing wrong with pedophilia because you are just infringing on a relationship between two people, because the actual deontological nature of anything, the sense of duty, is lost completely from the description of what's just and what's virtuous. So it's
voluntary interaction.
Yeah, like what if the child consents though?
I mean, basically, ANCAPism is just NAMBLA accelerationism.
Yeah, and I think did someone bring up Adam Lanza before? Or, I don't know, but he was a pedophile, although I don't know if he abused anyone, but he had an internet footprint where he would defend pedophilia and say that he's tired of seeing the gay rights movement when the real victims are pedophiles. They're the real oppressed group in society, and he would talk about how he thinks that the notion that children are harmed from sexual relationships, assuming that they quote-unquote consent to it, the harm done to the child is just socially constructed. It's a cultural thing. The lifelong harm that's done to children that are molested is like one of the most well-documented things ever. I can't believe someone can dispute that or say the causality of it is cultural, and if we didn't just get off them and teach them to feel bad about it, they would happily indulge in sexual relations with adult men and not have lifelong consequences for it. Like, it's just it's fucking crazy.
It's just a social construct, boy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what do you guys know that kid from Singapore, MOCE?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, MOC is this kid who escaped the Singapore government claiming it was oppressive, and he used to be like ANCAP, but now he's like ANCOM or whatever. And he's one of these big like pedophilia advocates. He was recently on Jesse Lee Peterson's show, and he's like that black reverend that hates Black Lives Matter. And he was like talking about it, and this is kind of very similar, if not the exact same argument that he makes. Like, it's just like there is no harm to, you know, these types of relationships. It went on in the past, therefore we should keep doing it and crap like that. And it's just like, I wish Lee Kwan, I wish your dictator actually executed you, you absolute disgusting fuck.
Yeah,
we can make a lot of arguments in that way. It's like we always used to treat women as property. Let's like keep doing that. It's like your natural order.
Yeah, but like as I said before, like there's a complete psychological stagnation in children that are abused as a child. It's bad for your cognitive ability. It literally changes the structure of your brain. It's one of the most well documented things, and to just say it's culturally constructed is to just plead ignorant to all of the data out there and to just make some ad hoc rationalization. It's completely absurd.
I've got nieces, though, that I think the world of.
Yeah, you talk about your nieces in the chat here. And you talk about how you like to spoil the nieces and how you would like to spoil this 13-year-old girl like you spoil your nieces.
Yeah.
Is this the way you spoil young women?
No.
Now, what's your name?
Just drops nuts.
This is what I was afraid of.
What were you afraid of?
Stupid move.
What were you afraid of?
Got him.
Just because she was a nice girl. And
She was a nice girl. You still haven't told me your name, though.
it's Lorne.
Lorne what?
Armstrong.
Armstrong. And where do you live, Lorne?
In Nashville now.
Nashville. What do you do in Nashville?
Actually, I work at a construction company.
And what do you build?
I just started last week.
See, that's exactly what I mean. No long-term career as the result of having high IQ and climbing the hierarchy as you progress through life. Being 37 and just having a long time of being unemployed and only just starting a job. It's a repeating trend throughout the whole show.
Building a gym for a church.
A gym for a church. Is that a good job?
Yeah.
Now, besides all this chat here, and we'll go through that in a minute, you also sent a whole bunch of pictures. Now, why would you think that's appropriate?
It's not.
So that's like nudes that he sent.
It's not.
Jesus.
Those are all your pictures, right? Is that all you do in your spare time?
No.
God, how could you look like that and send photos of yourself to anybody? Anyway,
and just like have the confidence to actually send nudes. It's like, how could you?
I know, like sending nudes is fucking degenerate as it is, and no one should feel confident in them. It's a bad reflection of yourself to do it, let alone sending them and just looking like complete shit like he does. Just looking like you fucking just washed up. Like this guy's just fucking washed up. Look at his face. He's just like, look at his sad little face. He's got such an animated, sad face. His face is like just dough, but then when he's sad, it's like really emotive. Anyway, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
You ever get in trouble like this before?
No, I've never done this before.
You've never done it before? Have you ever met anybody in person who you first met online in a chat room?
No.
This is the first time. So
Yeah.
what made you, all of a sudden for the first time, get online, chat up a 13-year-old girl, and drive up from Nashville to meet her for sex?
No, I didn't.
Lauren, you send her naked photos, you have an explicit conversation, and you bring condoms. What does that add up to?
I know.
Do you reckon he has done it before?
Probably.
Because the actual recidivism rates for pedophiles is really fucking high. And it's obviously for the reasons that I just given before about the sociopathic nature of them. I think the statistic is it's something like 18%, so roughly 1 in 5 pedophile sex abusers. It could be called serial abusers in that how many reoffend in less than 2 years from the first act of abuse. So 20% of them will go on to molest another child within 2 years of the first offense that they commit. So it's really fucking high. If you're a pedophile, you're most likely going to be molesting people for a long time.
I'd imagine he had other chats with
Oh, he actually did. He actually did.
Yeah.
Perverted Justice is the name of the group that do the decoys, and they get hired by Dateline NBC. And then the police do a parallel investigation. So everything that they collect, they give to the police, and then they sort all that out, all the legal stuff out. But Perverted Justice said that this guy got caught talking to like 2 other decoys or something like that.
Jesus.
So he was full on lurking the internet for kids.
Jesus.
Yeah. But anyway. Oh, look at Chris's face. He's disgusted at the chat.
Oof.
At first, you seem like the Good Samaritan, the protector.
He's like dying.
Don't tell me your last name. Don't ever tell anyone from the internet your last name, okay? Okay, why? Because there are some real weirdos on here sometimes, and they might try to go looking for you. So don't ever tell them your last name, your address, your phone number,
that zoom on his
the
face.
town you live in, or the school you go to. You're one of those weirdos.
Got him.
I mean, you're one of those
Was that some
weirdos.
kind of ruse to gain her trust?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. So how did it go from, hey, be careful, don't give anybody your last name, to, hi, here's some naked pictures of myself and I'm coming over with condoms?
God.
No.
You don't know.
Chris is so savvy. He's so Chad.
Well, you must know something. I mean, help me to understand this.
I don't know why.
You don't know.
I even did.
You don't know why you did it. Well, I think I know why you did it. You did it because you wanted to have sex with a 13-year-old girl.
Just grill him.
I don't think that.
No, what?
I don't think that was it.
You don't think it was it? Well, why don't you help me out? Why don't you tell me what it was then?
Because I wasted 5 years of my life on the internet talking to girls that gained my trust.
Comes the sob story.
And she seemed like somebody I could trust.
You could trust.
How? Have you seen these fucking chats? In the chats, they're so unresponsive because they don't want to get done with entrapment, which is like a defense that almost all of these guys pull, which is the idea that they wouldn't have committed the crime if it wasn't for the intervention of the police officer, or in this case, perverted justice decoys. So that's the defense they always play, and to make sure that they can't do that, they can't initiate the chat. They probably could, and they probably wouldn't pass that with that defense. But just to make sure, they don't initiate the chat. They just sit in the chat room until one of these guys hits them up. And then secondly, they never respond with a sexual innuendos, or they do it very rarely. So with this chat log, it's just like, yeah, okay, sure, okay. There's zero emoting on the decoy side. It's just all of them just being like, yeah, then you suck my penis, and then describing sexual relations to them, and them just being like, K. Especially because this was in the 2000s on Yahoo chat rooms, back when no one really messaged people really extensively, and everyone would just abbreviate everything as much as they could.
God, and it's gotten, like, chat's gotten so much more expansive since then. You could imagine how, like, this type of shit has so many more avenues to, like, continue on now. Like, this show is, we need Chris Hansen now more than ever. He's the hero we need.
He's the hero we need and deserve.
So when you say you spent 5 years on the internet, what, getting taken advantage of by women? In what way?
In every way.
Everywhere.
Instance.
I was up in Washington State. That's when I started going on the internet.
When you lived in Washington State.
You can't look at him.
You started going on the internet, and what happened?
Look, you can't make eye contact with
I
him.
met a girl, she said her name was Amanda
Chris
James.
is just
and
like
Chris is
laser-eyed focus.
Yeah.
she told me that her daughter was her niece, and that she was watching her niece. Well, she was actually had custody of her niece.
Talking about?
Yeah,
Just shut up, dude. Just leave and get arrested.
3 years later,
Why would you stay there? Why would
moved back to Maine.
Shut the fuck up,
Just to be
Anka.
closer to her because she lived in Pennsylvania. And I didn't date anyone. I didn't see anyone because of her.
All right, so what happened?
God.
I got back to Maine and
That's why they cut all this shit
I was
out.
talking to her on the phone, and
It's like, nope.
she, my sister wanted to say hi to her, and my sister had been on the internet
My sister
for a couple of years, and she was able to read people pretty good.
And what happened?
Oh my God.
And she got on the phone with her, and she
I got catfish, so then
she got off the phone. She was only on the phone with her for about 2 minutes, and she got off the phone with her and told me that she wasn't real.
She wasn't real.
She told me she was lying to me, and she'd been lying to me all along.
Did you ever meet this woman? Did you send her money?
I sent her money. I sent her all kinds of Dale Earnhardt things.
Sir?
It was for an investment.
Dale Earnhardt things.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. things. She was Dale.
The race car driver.
Yeah.
What a fucking niche thing to bring up.
And so because you got taken advantage by a couple of women on the internet, you thought it was okay to take advantage of a 13-year-old girl on the internet.
No, I didn't.
That's what I'm saying, Chris.
No.
Get him, Chris.
I'm very happy that you talked to me before talking to anyone else, though. This way, you'll be safe.
That's what I meant, too, and I don't know how...
You don't know how what?
I don't know how I lead to this.
Well,
what the fuck kind of comment is that? Like, that's what I meant, too. You showed up with condoms to fuck this girl. He was gonna fuck the shit out of her, and he's like, that's what I meant. Like, look at him. He's like looking almost 45 degrees to Chris because he just can't even bear to look at him.
You said like there's an anti-fandom around this whole guy.
Oh yeah, there is. There's like you can see here on the video it says latter-day Lorneographers because this guy's name's Lorne. So they just like make fun of him, and they're called Lorneographers. And I found them. They have like a website and shit, and it's like there's like 10 guys doing it, but it's like fucking so weird. They just give this guy hell. That's like the thing about this show. It becomes your legacy. It's just, that's who you will be remembered as by the whole world, just a pedophile that got caught in a sting. The
That's pretty funny.
The world doesn't forget. If you were arrested in a regular police sting, then you can keep it a secret, but these guys are just in front of an international audience. Oh. Anyway, I'll keep playing it. 3, 2, 1.
Here, let me take you down the road. This is how it went. You started with this, and then it goes to, so this is as thick as a telephone book, by the way, this chat. You started chatting with her when? Last month? So you've been chatting with this young woman for a month.
Oh, look at that angle. He's so fucking ugly and fat. And then Chris is like Chad as hell. He's just like, yeah, I lift. Chad Hansen. Look at him. He's like 50 as well. And at this moment of this recording, and he's like, look at that head of hair. Holy shit. Sorry, what?
I was thinking Chris was. Do you think Chris was sipping before his time?
Yeah, of course. He was sipping before. He was like, oh my god. Anyway, sir, I'm just frothing over Chris right now. I'll press play.
In a not-gay way.
Yeah. Anyway, 3, 2, 1.
And so it starts with you being the protective older brother type. And we flip through dozens and dozens of pages here. And ultimately, it builds into a very sexually explicit conversation.
It's also funny because Chris was like fucking interns at MSNBC, and he got fired shortly after the TCAP thing aired for having an affair.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah, so he fucks like crazy. Chris is like getting all the poon, but he's like, he fucks like, like girls in their 20s and shit. And he just comes in like, do you think you fuck? Like, he just
He lost out though. At least he got caught back then, rather than during the whole Me Too thing right now.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Is like, I wonder what the decoys that Lorne's been talking to, if they're equally fucked up for having like these 400-page conversations with. Like, what are they saying back to them? They can't just be saying like these just generic like K things all the time. You have to have
they pretty much are. These guys are all really fast movers. This guy has the longest chat log with any of them, and he only started talking to her a month ago. Usually they organize a date to meet up and everything within hours of talking to them.
Right? I wish I were sticking it in you right now.
Got him. Look at that face. He's like,
Chris is just showing.
You tell her
dude.
to delete her archives after we stop talking again, okay?
Ooh, he knows it's wrong. Society won't
Why did you
understand.
want her to delete her archives? Help me out.
I
didn't want to get in trouble.
I didn't want her to get in trouble by her parents.
God damn it. Look how far apart his eyes are. Look at it, he's like... Charlie looks...
On and on and on.
He looks like an elf, kind of, like...
I heard comes the best quote right here.
Do you guys know, like, Of Mice and Men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
This is literally Lenny.
Oh,
Wait.
my God.
You talk
Did he
about
say right?
getting married to her. Getting married.
What
She's
the hell?
13.
God damn.
And when she,
Huh?
and when she was 18.
Whoa. What do you mean she was 18?
So I meant when she was 18.
You were going to marry her when she turned 18. But you're just going to have sex with her from the ages of 13 to 18 now.
Jesus Christ.
Are you excited
Dude,
about
to be a
me
good
or my
Muslim or whatever.
Oh, did you hear that quote? Are you excited about me or my penis? My name
Are you excited about what?
Me or my penis? Oh my God, you ready? I'll play it again.
Are you excited about me or my penis?
God damn. The game on this guy.
Did you bring anything else with you tonight?
Like what?
Like anything?
No.
No.
Food, alcohol.
No.
So just the bracelet and the condoms.
God, he's just taking it.
Nothing else.
Oh,
What do you think ought to happen?
He's crying.
Oh, here's a good one. Is Miss Vagina thinking about Mr. Penis?
Ooh, got him.
What did he say?
Is Miss Vagina thinking about Mr. Penis? He's literally, he literally identifies with the 13-year-old. That's literally how he's in this whole predicament. It was because he's just mentally stagnant from the age of 13 to the age of 37. Oh,
Jesus.
God damn.
That was definitely my favorite quote throughout this interview.
Alright.
What is she thinking?
Oh, he's like
What's
sad.
up with that?
Look how sad he is.
What do you think ought to happen to you? Help me out.
I think I should go to counseling to get off the internet.
You should go to counseling and get off the
Oh
internet.
my God. They always answer.
course.
He asks this question in every episode to every predator, and they always answer as if he said, "What are you going to do?" Well, what he's saying is like, "What do you think should happen to you in terms of should you go to jail? Should you be allowed to walk out?" There's one guy in the whole series who's like, "I should go to prison," and there's 10 guys that say, "You know what? I think I should just be able to walk on out of here, get a warning." It's just, oh my God. I think I should.
Wow.
Go to counseling and get off the internet. Oh God.
Did you ever say to yourself, hey man, I got a problem here?
No, because I never thought I did.
You never thought you did. Does this incident make you think that perhaps you have a problem? What are you going to do about it?
I can do some things I can't do that. Oh my God.
What does he say? I could do something I can't do with that. Oh God.
I can do something I can't. I think he was saying something like, let's replay it then.
I can do some things I can't do that. Oh my God.
I think it was like, I've got to do something, but I can't do that or something.
Yeah. I gotta do something like, I wanna know what he fucking said. He just like gives up on speaking English like halfway through. He's like, I gotta do something, and then he's like, what the fuck am I saying?
Like he knows he's done, and he's just like internally done now too.
You'd want to know what's going on. You would just be like, who the fuck is this guy? I want to know, what's he thinking? I would love to just ask this guy, like, what was on your mind? Were you thinking, this is the police, I'm gone? Did you just think it was the dad or something? I'm so curious. I would love to fucking know who he thought this guy was at this point. Like, just looking at his face right now. The answers are there, behind that fucking dull gaze. The answers to this question are there, but I just can't know it. This guy's just faded into obscurity the moment he walks out that door. Like a vapor. God, it's a mystery. Anyway, one.
Well, do you ever watch television much? You ever watch a program called Dateline NBC?
Alright, this is the fucking best moment in the whole of To Catch a Predator. Look how sad he is.
Alright, just let it.
Alright, I'll just let it.
Just let it play through to the end now.
Well, there's something I gotta tell you. I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on a Now, you're free to walk out of this house right now. But if there's anything else you want to say, now would be the time to say it.
Cool. Got him! That's like Oh, you ready? You ready for this shit? Oh my god.
I'm waiting for the tackle. Please.
Look how little fucks Chris gives. Look at this.
Sheriff's office, down! Get down!
On the ground! On the ground!
Put your hands on your back!
Let me just go to the back room and smoke a cigar.
I know, that's what I said. He's just
That's
like,
what
Chris is just like, it is finished, and then just walks off. I'd love it if he like lit a cigarette in that shot of him just in the corridor. It's like a silhouette, he puts on a hat and just lights a cigarette. Oh my god. He just doesn't give a fuck. This is just routine for Chris. He's like, I've done this to hundreds of people, and I will do it to hundreds more. You were dead to me the moment you were
But you're like a
Chris Hansen is a god of his own realm.
What'd you say, Packy?
You're like a member of the Chris Hansen fan club, like hardcore.
I love.
You're just like, Chris, let me have your baby.
Look at him. He's like he's a fucking patriot. He's a hero. He's a savior. He keeps our kids safe. Look at him. Oh, look at this This is like right. The camera's there. His brain is yet to register what's happening, but it's in the process of realizing like, oh fuck, I'm on TV. Look at how sad he looks. You ready?
We're doing a story on a
Oh my god, I love that.
Tell me about the rabbits, Joe.
Look at his look at his look at his face there. He's like in mid-chord. That's why they're called the Church of Chord. Because he's
the Church of Chord.
So it says like COC in the corner there. Oh, look at his face. The pain. Have you ever been in so much emotional distress as to say "chord" and like fall over out of your chair? Oh, look at him. And like you get all angles of it as well. And Chris, look at Chris's face. He's like, yes. Oh my god, he's like loving it. This is the best show ever. Anyway, that was good.
I'm so happy.
I remember seeing if you see the pinned top comment right there, it was like talking about how the whole Mr. Penis and Mr. Vagina is. Just scroll down.
I'm fucking dying. Is Miss Vagina thinking about Mr. Penis? I bet in prison his cellmate will ask him, is Mr. Asshole thinking about Mr. Penis? I love hearing him whimper on the ground outside the door.
Get down! Get down! Put your hands on your back!
Oh, that would be the best job, though. Just like fucking. Oh yeah, it was his birthday. That was a thing I forgot to mention. It was his birthday, and they all knew it. Like they talked about it in the chat, and Chris didn't even wish him happy birthday when he sat down. What the fuck with? I was like, that's the worst thing about the whole ordeal for this guy is that he didn't even get fucking wished happy birthday.
Jesus.
You should have started like, I have a little present for you, Lord.
God damn. Imagine if Chris just said happy birthday when he walks out. Or he says it to him while he's on the ground. Getting arrested.
Oh yeah,
God,
happy birthday.
Oh yeah, by the way, happy birthday.
And then the Thug Life glasses just drop.
Oh my god. Or he says it like to himself before he turns around and like walks out, smokes a cigarette. Oh, it's like fucking hasta la vista, but instead it's happy birthday, bitch. Nah, I don't know. That was that. God, that was dumb. That's funny as fuck. So. Anyway, I just noticed that Ari's here.
What's up, everyone? My mic quality is probably at, so...
That's alright, I just coughed over all that.
How's everyone doing tonight? What have you been doing? What have I been missing?
We've been filming our reaction to watching To Catch a Predator on like the unedited raw footage of just all of the hidden cameras for this one dude.
Oh, is this what propertarianism is?
Yeah.
Propertarianism is capturing ANCAPs because rock bar is triple gay.
Damn.
Yeah, essentially. Alright guys, that was us reacting to Catch a Predator, something new that we've never done before. I'm going to be putting this on the second channel, obviously, because, you know, it's pretty weird. It's something very different than what I'd usually put in my first channel, so I know people might not be happy about that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching.